Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show how I use my Preeti Zodiac food processor to make chapati dough. So I'm going to make a slightly large quantity just so that I make a few chapatis and keep it in the fridge for use later. So I'm going to put 3 cups of flour. So I've attached to this just like how the instructions say. Please note that this is not a sponsored video, so I don't get paid by anyone to make this video. It is more the method of using the food processor to make the atta that I'm focusing on than the product itself. So I'm not going through the instructions of how to assemble the food processor. So I'm going to add 3 cups. I tend to use store-bought atta because that is the only reasonable option that I get here, to be honest. Most of the times I buy Pillsbury atta, and sometimes I do buy the Ashirwad. I try other brands as well. I did find a favorite one, but they stopped making it, so that's a shame. So there you go, 3 cups of atta, and then I add salt. You could skip the salt if you don't fancy adding it, but I just add just a slight pinch. The very small quantity of salt also makes a bit of a difference when you put the chapati in your mouth. So I then close this, turn the device on, and then you have this. I'm going to add water little by little, and that is the most important thing to make the dough using these food processors. One of the biggest problems with using food processor is that because you're not touching the dough, you don't feel it, you don't know how much water you have added. Typically, a store-bought dough, atta will need about 50%, 45 to 50% of water. So if you have taken 1 cup of flour, then you will need about half a cup of water. So here I've taken about 3 cups of flour. I've already filled this with 1.5 tumblers of water. Obviously, I'm not going to pour all into it at the same time. So let's first add a few drops and then make it into a crumble texture. So I'm going to add a wee bit more. And then I'm coming down to about a cup or slightly less than a cup of water. So just like how you would knead the dough with your hand, you can allow this to knead it. So I still have over a 1/4 cup of water left. Now at this point, do not rush to add more water. It is worth using a spatula like this and just easing the sides so that any dough that's stuck there, because that would have a bit of water in it, you need to get that out and get it into the mix. I'm using a normal tap water. I've not used hot water in this case. I am going to rest the dough until evening when I'm going to make the chapatis. So if you want to use warm water, by all means use warm water, but I don't think that has been absolutely necessary for me to make soft chapatis. So I'm adding another 1/4 cup of water. still have some more water left of my 1.5 cups, which is my estimate. So I'm just going to open that. The water is what makes the gluten form and make the dough come together. So obviously wheat flour has gluten in it by nature, and the water helps it release that gluten and make it come together. The millet flours, on the contrary, they do not have gluten. That's why it doesn't quite come together. I'm going to add just a touch more water. Give it a nudge with the and add a wee bit more water to it. So that's my 1.5 cups of water all poured in. So when you see that when the dough spins, it'll touch the walls and then it'll release itself on its own. So that shows that you've not added too much water and it's not particularly sticky. It has just enough water that it is able to release itself and go. So that's it. I'm happy with how it has all come together now. I would just dump this into a bowl in which I will be resting for the rest of the day. Right, so I'm going to empty this into a bowl. If you don't want to do that, you can always leave it in here. Just remove those attachments and rest it here so that you don't have to use multiple bowls. So you can see it has come out quite clean, and this bowl itself is not that difficult to clean. I just rinse it under water and scrub it ever so slightly with normal sponge. So I do not have to do anything to this. You can see that it's not sticking to my hand. It's absolutely fine the way it is. What I tend to do is smear a bit of oil on top because I'm going to allow it to rest. I don't want the top to dry. So I will do just that. I use either groundnut oil or sunflower oil or olive oil. I don't use sesame oil for this because sesame oil is a bit too strong. But I do carry a variety of oils. If you do not want to do this, if you want to keep it completely fat-free, then by all means do that. So I'm just going to smear the oil all over. Like I say, this is an optional step. You could just empty it and leave it, cover it closed, or start making the chapatis straight away, or fulka or rotis, whatever it is you're going to make. So it's possible to make perfectly soft dough using the food processor, and you do not have to get your hands dirty. See ya!